Oh, Satnam, Namaste. Hello, Studio 108 Pam. And I'm here with the family. I'm here with John, who's become Studio family. He's not literally my um, genetic family. So just in case you wonder if John and I are related after that comment.
Yeah.
No, but we are. We're made from the same stardust, just like you. And so we're related as we're all related. But John joined us last fall, and
Yeah.
he's bringing a conversation around this practice called foundation training. And I missed well, I've missed a couple classes,
Yeah, but you had other
but
things that you needed to do and
yeah, only
but
been there.
you're pretty hardcore with it and yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time since anyone called me hardcore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, you're
so yeah.
hardcore. No, anybody that shows up to the class regularly is hardcore, and
Yeah,
that's like the community here.
yeah,
They're regulars, and they show up and
yeah.
they kind of know what to expect.
And I think they know what to expect in terms of the results too. And I think that's why we've had consistent and growing attendance in that class.
Mhm.
So let's talk. Okay, you guys, we're going to loop you into the conversation because John and I enjoy chatting. So we don't want to forget that you're here with us. But we're going to go back to square one and talk about what is foundation training. It's on our schedule Saturdays at 9:30. So I'm going to drop that little nugget right here in case you don't want to listen all the way through. You get the important part first. We're going to talk about the history of foundation training, what it is. And I think as we unpack some of my experiences and John's experiences, me just this past 8 months, maybe. And how long have you practiced foundation training?
Going on 2 years now,
Two
you know.
years. So we have some
I've learned a
results.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
some
I
results
have a
to
lot more
share.
to learn too.
Yeah,
It's
a
just
lot to learn, but a lot to enjoy from the dedication to the
yeah,
practice.
and it's because it's a life practice. It's not like it's like any other endeavor that we pursue. It's only going to give you little bits of light at a time. And when people first show up to the class, I'm like, you're going to suck at this at first. And because it is very demanding physically, mentally, emotionally, even.
Mhm.
But you just keep practicing, and these little bits of light creep in and creep in and creep in, and you're just like, okay, this is a little bit better than it was yesterday. It's not perfection. It's a little bit better than it was the day before or the posture before.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's where I
Yeah,
go
I
from.
think what I hear from people too is that they feel better after the class and the day after the class. And the longer they come, the longer that effect happens. And I
Mhm.
know you emphasize you never go to class without saying you have to do it every day. Pick one pose, pick two poses to just, a few minutes, get online, get to the video clip and do a little every day. But
10 minutes. It's all you really
that's
need,
it.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you can disperse, even like if you can go 10 minutes in the morning and find 10 minutes in the afternoon, and then 5, 10 minutes of just ground postures before you go to bed, you'll rest well,
Mm-hmm.
you'll
Mm-hmm.
rest well. And look, you've done 30 minutes at that point,
Yeah,
right?
it's accumulated over the day. And it's happening in bits, like you're dropping it through the day when you really need it.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Yeah.
re-regulate dysregulates, our activities dysregulate us, and then we can re-regulate using these postures with this breath and this activation of how you engage.
Yeah.
So there we are once again in our own. Let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We can't forget about people.
No, not at all. Not at all.
All right, so John's going to tell us about what is foundation training, where did it originate, how did it come to you? Like start the
Oh,
story.
foundation training. Yeah, I can do that to the best of my ability because like there's a lot to it. And this is just my take on it, and it's because I can't remember a lot of things verbatim. It's like I can't remember, how they describe it and sometimes, but so here it goes. All right. So so found so I found foundation training listening to a podcast. Okay. Jeff Bridges, the actor, played the dude in the Big Lebowski. One of my favorite actors too. He's hilarious and he's good. But he had mentioned a blurb on the Smartless podcast with Jason Bateman. You know, he had mentioned a blurb about foundation training, and he's like, you got to try this stuff. It'll basically kick your ass in. So I'm like, okay, well, I went and I looked on YouTube and I did the 12-minute workout. And I'm like, okay, well, this is cool, but I want to learn a little bit more about this, So I did religiously, I did the 12-minute workout for like 3 or 4 months every day. And then right after that, I do the 8-point plank challenge. So I did those every day religiously in the morning or in the evening, whenever I could get it in.
So are those videos on YouTube for anyone to like?
Yeah, they're completely free. I think they have like, there's, I don't know, like maybe 22 or more videos online. There's a whole section called Get Out of Pain Now, which is really beneficial to people with low back pain, and it's free and it's very, Doc Goodman, who came up with this, he's a very awesome human. He's just a good dude.
He's a chiropractor.
Yeah, but he doesn't even practice chiropractic because he's, in his words, he's legitimately good at one thing, and that's foundation training, which he came up with. It came about because of he was an athlete, pretty high level athlete. And he's a mountain of a man. Like you wouldn't know until you're in front of him. He's like this friggin' he's gigantic,
Yeah.
He's like 6'2", 225, he's like a linebacker.
Yeah.
And he's like seriously, like he's super intelligent.
Position on a football field from another.
Yeah, I don't really either, but yeah, that's what people say. Dude, he could be a linebacker, So yeah, he could be a line, he could, yeah. So he developed this. It was during because of his spine, his back degeneration, his spinal degeneration, being told that he needed surgery, and he didn't want to do that. He was in chiropractic school. He didn't think he was going to be able to get through it because he's trying to get people out of pain while he's in excruciating pain, right? So he came up with these postures, and basically he started with chair and yoga, and he's like, well, what if I do this? What if I internally rotate at my knees? And he noticed that was the start of it. That started pulling tension off of his low back. Okay. And then that's where your anchoring comes from, anchoring your pelvis downward in your low back. And then we get into decompression breathing. So we're pulling not the spine just up, but out. I have a friend is Dr. Matt. He's in Wisconsin, and he's one of the foundation training core educators. And he's also a doctor. And this guy, he's brilliant. He just came out with a book. Sorry, Matt, if you listen to this, I can't remember the name of your book, but I'll get it out there. Dr. Matt Weist is his name, and he owns a movement place, so he does like foundation training, and they do what's it called? Styrox. It's like this hybrid, crazy, hardcore training thing, but he owns this place. He's a real good dude. He was a hockey player. I believe he's from Canada originally. But sorry, I'm a very tangent way of thinking. But anyway, he describes decompression breathing. Okay, so after you anchor your pelvis down and you take the decompression breathing, if you look at your low back, your lumbar spine here is the bottom of the diamond. Okay, as we breathe not just up, but we breathe out. So the corner of the diamond out this way would be would be your rib cage pulling out. And then as we go to that top point of the diamond, it's the crown of the head pulling up and away from everything else. So we're creating length in the spine and taking pressure off the joints and making everything very muscular.
Okay? Yeah, and there's an inner tonicity in that manipulates, but gives a freedom to the fascia.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's been so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Like the first conversation we had about foundation training, because you guys, if you go back through the podcast, there's an earlier version. And so you can get a second style of definition and description and conversation around it. But I hadn't practiced it, but maybe once at that point. And so this is really interesting because the anchoring has really been helpful for me in terms of, yes, opening the sacrum, but also in strengthening and evening the imbalances in the way I use my legs. So the weakness in the back line, the weakness in the inner thighs, because I have habitual ways of sitting, which we all do because we all sit. Most of us more than, than perhaps would be optimal. But like if I'm sitting cross-legged a lot of the day for meditation and teaching classes on the floor and playing the bowls and stuff, I've got like a lot of external rotation, which creates compression in that back. And don't I feel that? I really feel that. So to go and not just to position myself and anchor that, but develop compensatory strength patterns, unravel the fascial patterns from the posture that has been just kind of molded into my body, creates better lymphatic flow, creates nerve conductivity. And we were talking before we started recording about the issues in the tissues.
And this is all things I wanted to touch on today too, is like, I like to say, and you've heard me before class, let's turn the system on.
But it doesn't happen without that breath. That's where I started at. It happens because of that breath.
It happens because of the breath.
And that's really interesting that you describe it in that diamond.
I think it helps people, better understand decompression breathing. Decompression breathing usually takes about 50 breaths or more to get, because it's like, hold on, most people only breathe with 40% here when there's 60% volume in the back. We need to fill up those lungs.
In the back
and in the low, in the low rib area, and you feel that when you go, we've got that posture where we're, whatever posture it is, and we go into the sphere of tension,
It's like a mudra kind of idea with your fingertips touching. If you're just on the audio, you won't see John Stevens, but
there's about, 50 to 100 pounds of pressure between those fingers and between those elbows pulling towards each other. And when we can pull up and away from that, we lengthen the lat, we support the shoulder, we open up the brachial plexus.
In the back of the neck.
In the back of the neck.
Plexus, talk about that. What does that do? What's happening there?
The brachial plexus, when it gets compressed, that's in the neck. It starts in the C-spine. If you get like tingling or numbness in your hands, forearms, it's usually 9 times out of 10, it's the brachial plexus, unless you have like really significant nerve damage or something like that. You can kind of reverse that pattern, it works for most people. But also, like, when we're doing the sphere of tension, we're opening up the brachial plexus. The fingers are very important. The connectivity of the fingers, it's like the pinky finger, the ring finger, and the middle finger. Those, if you just push those together and keep your index finger and your thumb separate, you're going to feel the underside of the arm. So your tricep, and then running across your pec minor here, you're going to feel that engage. And then when you push everything together and use the elbows like a spring and pull back, great description is like the world smells bad in front of you.
When he pulls back, he pulls his ears back over his shoulders. His face back. Your skin of your face onto your bones. It lengthens the back of the neck and it creates a lift.
So that's all brachial plexus. That's all getting into the brachial plexus, because we have that bony ridge on the back of the skull, right? The occipital protuberance, occiput, and you push that behind you and then lift and lengthen through the back of the neck. You're opening up the brachial plexus. And there's a lot of nerve and blood flow through there. So when most people think that they're normal, and this is directly from Doc Goodman, this is not from me. Most people think that their normal is here, like where we are in foundation training when it's actually tilted forward a little bit.
So the head, well, John's pointing out, like, so what we have popular in the culture, because we're on our laptops, on our phone, driving so much, is we have a protrusion where the head goes forward.
Anterior head carriage.
Anterior head carriage. So the head's forward. Some people call it tech neck, and it compresses the neck. So in foundation training, we counter that by pulling way back and creating a lift in the back. And John is saying most people think, oh, this would be the normal carriage, but it's actually a little bit relaxed forward.
It's skewed a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're kind of overcorrecting, get the blood flow to open up the tissues, to get the flossing of the nerves and the liberation of the nerves.
Yes.
And then in the typical stance, you'd be slightly forward of that. Interesting.
So then when you pull away from that and you lengthen through the back of the neck, the idea here is to strengthen the SCM, the sternocleidomastoid muscles. Okay, these big muscles in the front of the neck, you need these open. You need these strong to support our 8-pound bowling ball, our head, right? And then, as you know, the vagus nerve runs right along that sternocleidomastoid. And what does the vagus nerve do? What does it do?
It turns us off and on. It's like it manages all the sensation and the tension in the jaw and around the mouth. And it can either keep us chill or fire us up, and kind of get stuck in fired up mode. And then the jaw is always clenched and the face is always stern. And it hurts.
You get into it's like, and then you get into the patterns of it. Okay, it's great. Keeping the vagus nerve open is great for your heart rate, your immunity, your digestion. It's just like, it's kind of all encompassing. So if we're skewed a little bit forward like that, we are just kind of like stressing it out, and we get stuck in that pattern, and then these muscles here have a harder time stretching out. But if we can get into this pattern,
this neck posture is just, there are so many people with this neck concern. It's like an epidemic kind of thing. So if this is your conversation, we're just tapping it. Come to class and try it out and have some experiences. And then you'll start to understand how your posture works a little bit better and how to check in through the day. So I know I do a couple postures in the morning. I do my lymphatic thing that you taught us, and a couple FT postures in the morning. But all day long, I'm working with the correcting of my seat and my shoulders and my rotation of arms and shift of the neck, and like all day long, because all day long I'm holding my body in ways that either help me or hurt me. So I've learned so much about how things kind of get in a jacked up way, and how things can unravel, and I can just be calmer. Like, I don't want to have a picture perfect posture, but I would like to have a nervous system that feels relaxed, and not kind of irritated. And
and as we touched on it before we started this too, it's not about perfection in the postures. It's about doing it a little bit better each time. Where can I engage a little bit more? Can I, how can I open up these nerve pathways? How can I spiral a little bit better? How can I rotate at the hips a little bit better? Okay.
And then once you know that, your golf game, like all the things you're doing. I know you mentioned a number of times, like a lot of people doing heavier lifting. And you've got some squats that really help them access the strength of their legs in a more balanced and powerful way. Like there are so many things that just lead from foundation training into functional movement out in the world.
And that's exactly what it's for, you know, and in some cases it replaces a lot of things for people, like I said, like, I was a distance runner, and then it was like one day I just couldn't run anymore. And I'm like, well, what else can I do? You know, and it's like, and don't beat yourself up about it. It's just, this is where you are in your life. So let's tap into something else that's, that serves us.
I was an ultra cyclist. So similar. The posturing and the repetitive pattern of that is something that I've had to, like, how do I counter that overuse of my body in this way so that I don't have pain, so that I can move better? And I've learned a lot.
I think our gift is actually being in chronic pain and knowing how to get out of it and then we can show people, hey, this has worked for me.
You said you were in pain for a lot of years.
Yeah, like 20 years,
Yeah.
a
long time to hurt.
And I thought it was my back when it was my hip. And I was near the end, I was to the point where I couldn't really even walk to the corner of my street, and I'd never been that broken before, yeah. And so
that's really hard on your life.
Yeah, and it's like we were talking about, like, pain has an emotional component to it. It's like I saw my temper just like that, and I wasn't sleeping right, and I wasn't eating right. I fell into, when COVID hit, I fell into like the trap of alcohol. I've been sober now it'll be 2 years.
Good for you.
Thank you. But
I think I'm 8 years this year.
8 years.
Yeah.
Good for
Best
you.
thing you ever did.
Yeah,
but anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
No, it's just
like you make such a good point. Like when you're in pain, it changes so many things about how your body functions, that it changes how you feel and how you feel about yourself and the choices you're making and how you define yourself. So all of a sudden you're like this angry guy.
Yeah.
And it's not really who you are.
No.
It's just
to mask things, it's to mask pain, and it's like
manage.
Yeah, self-medicate, stuff like that. So if we can get out of that pattern, then we're winning. It's like
we get to be our better selves.
We get to be our better selves, and through this, I found I'm being my best self. We all are born with this superpower. We inherently are born with it. We are designed to get ourselves out of pain and
to heal ourselves.
Yeah. And with foundation training, I found out, it's like a light switch. You're in pain, you wake up, you're like, oh shit.
John, do you know when I download a podcast, I have to click a button that says, is there explicit language in this?
Yeah. Is there explicit language in this?
I'm going to have to say yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, because I don't sugarcoat it. So I like to use.
I like it that you use clear language.
Yeah, this stuff is foundation training in itself is so real that I cannot help but be real with people, right? And like
curse a little.
Curse a little bit, be human. It's like, dude, who fucking cares? So yeah, none of us are perfect, and it's like this has helped me with relationship things, it's like, be truthful always, be yourself, be truthful, and if people don't like you because of that, then they don't deserve you, so it's like
someone said the other day, like it's like when you try on clothes, if it doesn't fit, you just put it back on the hanger and leave it there. It's fine.
Why beat yourself up, and it's just like
it's aligned or it's not aligned.
So let's take back our power. It's like one of my private clients who the great Tom Jasinski turned me on to through the studio, and he's an awesome dude, and we've become friends, and we've had coffee, and he's friggin', he's really cool. He's a somatic breath work dude. Like he's like wise beyond his years too, like he's been here before, right?
He's like from somewhere.
Yeah.
Tom is at the light, you guys. If you want to connect with Tom like immediately, you can go to the light. You'll find him on the website. You'll be able to email him there. And
he's just an awesome dude, like he's just so cool. But I got a chance to sit down with him and kind of brainstorm and stuff like that. And he's excited about things like I'm excited about things like, let's do this. Let's get together and let's collaborate and let's do these workshops. And he's like, not just here, let's just go travel. And I'm like, yeah, dude, you're speaking my language now, right? So he turned me on to one of his clients, became one of my private clients, and I had 3 sessions with her. And this woman in particular, she's had a total spinal fusion, right? When I showed up to her house and I met her originally, she was kind of crushed. You know, she had the posterior tilt to her pelvis, her shoulders were forward, her head was really forward because she could not stand up. You know, she didn't have the wherewithal to stand up right. Now, this woman was a bodybuilder too.
Wow, so strong enough, but
Strong enough, like you could tell, you know, like she was yeah, and like she had shown me pictures from when she was in her 50s, and she was on the pro level, you know. I mean,
wow.
she was, you know, and like really a lovely, lovely person, you know. And I could see, you know, from her face that she was in pain and she was having problems. She had to hold onto the railing and like take the steps one by one going upstairs, because that's where we ended up practicing. That's where she had all her equipment and stuff like that. So we'd go upstairs, and I gave her, you know, a few postures, not a ton, you know, ever. I gave her like 3 or 4 postures that she could use, you know, and just to turn her system on. And, you know, so I had my 3 sessions with her, and she was like, oh my God, I'm feeling better, you know. So she went really down the rabbit hole. She got on the streaming, the FT streaming page, and she's been doing the workouts. They do a workout day 1 through 30. She did those. She's like, John, my God, I feel so much better. And now she's on to like the more advanced workouts, the rotational patterns and the compound movements and stuff like that. And she's like, and she'll give me an update every, you know, every week or every other week where she is in her training. And she's like, my God, she sent me the nicest text, like right when I needed it. You know, I was like, last week, I was like, I'm gonna have a fucking nervous breakdown this week. You know, I was like, everything just kind of like got thrown at me at once, you know. And she said, you're my hero, you know, like yeah. She's like, she goes, you know, basically like, I don't know where I'd be without this training, you know. And like, um, um, Dolores, who's here,
yeah,
she had told me, because she knows this woman too. She told me, you know, that originally the private that I went to see could only walk for 10 minutes, and she shared that with me. She could only walk for 10 minutes at a time, and now she's up to like 45 minutes or an hour of walking. Wow. You know, so
that's life changing.
Yeah, yeah, you know, and and it hasn't been that long, you know. Yeah. So I screenshotted the message she sent me and I sent it to Doc Goodman, and he was like, oh my God, he goes, it takes a great teacher to be able to do this, you know. And so like coming from him, and like, it's not like the guy's awesome, you know. He's like very supportive, and everybody on the team is very supportive. There's no snootiness to it. And everybody's real, because everybody comes from this background of like, my back is fucked up and I need to do something about it.
Yeah, everybody knows what it's like.
Yeah. So most people come from that pain, that, you know, like a background of pain, you know, where it's like they've tried everything. Yeah.
Like they know what it's like to be grumpy.
Yeah.
And to not be able to do the things that you used to do. Yeah. And to be angry and short and making choices that don't feel healthy because you're just so frustrated with everything. Like they know what the lived experience of pain is.
Absolutely.
It changes like your perspective on the world when you can see what it's like in that spot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, yeah, I can't say enough about it. And then, you know, it's like mixing things like Kundalini with this is just, it's super powerful. It's like, and that's the thing about foundation training is, like I said, like you can replace like yoga practices with it if that's what you need to, but it's not really meant to replace anything. It's meant to enhance everything that you do, whether it's yoga and running and cycling and jumping and combat sports across the board. It's really
a system with so much intelligence to the natural engagement and movement patterns of the body. Super corrective and reparative when you start to understand that you're moving because this is how the body mechanics work, not because you want to get into this pose. You know, you're engaging muscles that are going to provide the stability for the movements you're making, rather than just trying to be as flexible as you can so that you look, you know, pretty in this pose.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
or so that you get yourself from point A to point B at a certain time. You know, it's just like really it has been educational for me. I think one thing that we forget about when we're working with our bodies in the movement genres is that there's a neuromuscular component to it, and that's how the muscles and the brain speak to each other. So if you've never used your muscles in a certain way, there may not be that neurological highway to make it happen yet, and it takes some practice until those wires and fires start kind of establishing the communication line. You know, sometimes it takes a couple of days until Spectrum comes out and puts the wiring in for your cable, you know. And then the other thing, and you touched on it this past Saturday, like when we quote feel things, that's your afferent nerves, like communicating from your body back to your brain, and then your brain has to make sense of that signal, and it will make sense on it based on what you've felt before, and it will make sense of what kind of speaks from the body to the brain the loudest. So we might be working on something that I quote should feel here, but I've got fascial tightness over there. And that's going to speak louder to my brain than this sensation that I quote should feel. So like to work with your neurology from the efferent, where the brain is telling the body, so that you can get the body, the muscles to do what you're wanting them to do. That might be new.
Yes.
Right. And it might be doing it in a different way or in different combinations. Like this muscle has to fire with something, or else this muscle has to fire, but not this other one that always wants to help it. You know, so it's like that is your efferent, where the nerves go from the brain to the body, but also the afferent, where the body is speaking and the brain needs to decode and have compassion. And, you know, like there's just a lot going on in the conversation. And I've learned so much through foundation training, because it's really, it's like I've become a good listener and a much better boss commander of my body. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
like the nerves in both ways.
I find it is like a meditation, right? It's very meditative, you know.
It's tuned into yourself.
Yeah, you know, and so when people initially come to class, okay, there's some people that are like, well, I'm not feeling what you're talking about, and it's just to touch on the point you made. It's like, well, because you don't have that like receptiveness yet to it, you know. It'll build.
The path hasn't been forged yet.
Right. We're learning new connections, you know, new neuromuscular connections, new biomechanical patterns, you know. And it takes time, okay? And it never gets easier. It actually gets harder because you are recruiting more muscle tissue and fibers. The thing that does get easier is endurance. Like I'll go into like some of these postures, and this isn't a brag. This is just like when I first started some of these postures, I could do them for like 3 breaths, you know. Now I'll hold postures for 10, 15, 20 breaths sometimes, you know.
I think like endurance that way, and also with familiarity comes a level of tolerance. Like now I know, oh no, this is just my body being strong. Whereas at first it was like freak out. And it's like, no, it's not a freak out. It's just you haven't experienced this before. So you don't appreciate that this is just your body being strong. Now I'm like, oh, that feels really good. I feel strong. I feel connected. I feel engaged. Yeah.
It's juggling throughout the system. You know, it's like when I ask people to do an inward hip rotation. I want you to converge both hips towards the center. I don't just want you to try and just like, you know, spin your leg around and twist, you know, because then it gets into the spinal twist, you know. And then when we're getting into like patterns like an archer or like a reverse archer, we do have a little bit of thoracic rotation with pelvic rotation. And then we're pulling two ends away from that. Well, we're pulling two ends together. So there's a lot going on. And it is juggling.
Yeah.
And it's just like, crossing hemispheres of the brain. Even just when I have people, all of you just reach out and rotate and, pinky up, keep it classy. You're opening up all of this tissue through here and the shoulder and the neck and all the way down and across sometimes. And like, it's just your body's just doing this the entire time, and you have to scan through in order to. And then you forget to breathe. You're like, oh, I'm not breathing here. And you're like, oh God, hold on. Get back into the breath. Well, now I don't have that inward anchor, that outward anchor. Hold on, let's get that. Okay, get back to the breath. All right, now, hold on, are my arms in the right position? So it's like, it's all of this, but like if you just approach it in a calm manner and just work through the system, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, and try not to get frustrated with it, because it's like, I think if you want instant gratification, this ain't it, unless you're specifically going for, and I hope I'm doing this justice, unless you're going for, like, obviously most people have back pain, neck pain, stuff like that. I'll give you 3 postures. It's like, I'm like, come and do a private with me, because a class isn't going to serve you. A class is more designed for people that are mostly out of pain, for real. It's like, I don't want you to keep coming to class and then being like, this stuff sucks, it doesn't work.
Yeah, if you have something specific, you need a private.
Yeah, you need a private. Yeah. It's like, if your issue is hypermobility, learn how to recruit those muscles, and you don't need a ton of postures. Like, people with like sciatica, for instance, or piriformis or facet syndrome and stuff like that, I don't even have them hip hinge. I don't want them to hip hinge. But they'll come to class, and then after class is over, they're like, oh, I have this, I have this, I have this. And I'm like, well,
yeah, I didn't know.
I don't, it's like, oh, my shoulder's messed up, or, it's just like down the line. You need to honor yourself, and you're not going to get out of pain, trying to keep the pace of the class, doing postures that don't serve you.
Yeah, or even coming in and thinking I'm going balls to the walls. You just, like you say all the time, you have to just go gentle into it, hold it, and try easy, kind of mark, and make progress over time. Okay, we could sit for so long. For sure. Yeah. Let's remind people when classes. Saturday morning, 9:30 to 10:30. Saturday morning, 9:30 to 10:30. And I was just saying, John has never missed a class. I've missed a couple. John has never missed one. So we will be here. We'll be here July 4th, even on a holiday weekend. Yes. We'll be here when it's hot outside. We will be here when it's cold outside. Yeah. This has been just too beneficial of an experience for too many people. So we're going to peace out today so we can talk about maybe adding another class. But yeah. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for following, and check the show notes for a couple of these little tidbits John dropped. I'll try to make sure I get all of them in there for you.
Thanks for having me. I hope everything was coherent. Because next time it wasn't like, like, was my mouth full of marbles there? Yeah. So
no,
we all have these moments, right? But I feel like we were just having a conversation. So
that's it. So you guys are flies on the wall. You get to hear what really goes on.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. That's all we got for you. Thanks for following.
Thank you. Take care.